That's not a great stat. We didn't won double digits in 2 years in a row for that long. Shit. I'm gonna have to check that. I'm gonna fact check you just to make sure.
Go ahead.
No, team win. I mean, that's a great thing when you have guys step up, right? I mean, we had a guy that literally didn't know he was going to wrestle till warm-ups, and he got himself prepared and ready because we got a lot of sickness rolling around, which that's part of this time of year. That's part of being a team. You have to deal and manage with those things. And literally, the guy's warming up, and he's about hacking a lung out, pretty much puking, and we're like, hey, you got to go. And, we got a guy like Connor Thorpe who does everything you could ever ask. Man, he puts his team in front of his ego and puts it on full display for his team. Man, and it's why he's a captain on our dang team. But just that you have, and I think we wrestled 15 different guys in those 2 matches. So, you hopefully you get to highlight a little bit of our depth, but more than anything, you highlight that you have a team bought into one another that prepares. And if they're the guy, they step out there and they give everything they have. And if they're not the guy, then they're the loudest cheerleader. And that's probably what I was most pleased with our team yesterday because, some guys thought maybe they were going to wrestle and then they didn't wrestle, and they were the best cheerleaders. And that's what we ask of our guys. That's what we expect of our culture. That's the standard of our culture. And those guys, again, and I told them I thank them because that's not always the case. That's not what happens everywhere. And hopefully we've made it where guys have done that in the years before, right? And they've watched it and they've seen the example, and then they're going to keep that example going. But good win for our team. Adam Aronson, closing out 2 meets. A little different match this time than last time, but wrestled very smart. That guy caused a lot of chaos in matches. And I'm glad there was you. Farber got bonus points. Paez get an opportunity and went out and competed. And really, dang, I thought he was going to score in that first period. Man, but one position matches, and just got to be able to put those in your favor a little bit more. Ryder, Sima had a big ranked win. Nick Fox keeps winning matches. I thought Carson wrestled and scrapped a very good match and had a chance to win the match. And actually, that was just having a conversation with the referee. Because, again, I want to learn how to coach better, and I want to understand what they saw. And I still don't think that's a takedown. There's not going to be one. There's never going to be any angle they're going to be able to show me that's going to show that was a takedown. But sometimes that's the call, and then you have to deal with it. And you still have to find a way to win, even if the calls don't go your way, right? Or if you got guys sick, or you have guys that are injured, you have to have other guys step up. And that's what I'm proud of with our team. Because South Dakota State's a good team and very similar, in a lot of ways to us. I have a lot of respect for those guys and the program that they've built. Because I was thinking about the first time that we went there, and it's been a long time since we first went there, but there was maybe about 25 people in the crowd the first meet. That's about how many there were, and they've done a great job of building a great program, an atmosphere, good energy, and they've got people excited about wrestling up in South Dakota State. So my hat's off to those guys. But other than that, we got a big week in front of us. Pretty cool that, you get to put I think anytime you get to put a rafter in the numbers, or, you could put something up in the rafters, and, we don't get to retire a weight, although his weight might not be a weight anymore. I'm trying to think, anybody know what weight he was? He was 165 in college? I have to fact check you on that, too. Because we got 65, so we can't retire a number. But obviously, Bill, gold medalist, national champion here. And, we retired the mat. His mat's, his name's on the mat. I mean, he's the only gold medalist in UNI, UNI athletics history, which is a pretty incredible thing. So, the first one going up for wrestling, that's And I love that it's the first one going up really in general, right? It's the first one. Um, so I think that's a pretty cool thing. I look forward to having his family. It sounds like there's going to be like 26 that are coming. And they're supporting him. Unfortunately, he's passed, but I got to know Bill. Had a lot of conversations with him, and he paid attention to UNI wrestling. He loved UNI wrestling, and had an immense amount of pride in the time that he was here, and then obviously the program that it is right now. But I can't think of a better guy to put up in the rafters. And the first one, who's more deserving than that, than him? So look forward to getting to celebrate him and his family. And I think we'll have our new mat out there, for the first time too. So pretty cool opportunity. Guess anything else?
What do you focus on from the mental side of coaching? As much as it is important for anybody, it came to mind because when you start at 125 as often as you do, in those upper weights, when a duel might be close, those results have a big impact on who wins or loses that duel. Just how big is the mental training for this team?
Well, staying incredibly steady, right? Not letting your emotions get the best of you, and that's easier said than done. But we practice that. It's something that we try to put them in a lot of stress in the practice room, and then you try to get them to be, I guess, as routine as possible. And as a coach, you start to kind of know a guy's routine a little bit. You start to know when they, maybe they all of a sudden they warm up in another 10 minutes. Like, oh well, mentally they're not, or you kind of see their body language a little bit. So we try to keep them, I say routine, but you try to keep them in their routine as much as possible, and not get so concerned about the outcome of the match. What's in front of us, and because if they can run their sprint, they can run that 420 seconds as well as possible, then they're going to give not only themselves but the team the best possible opportunity. I mean, they know the score. I mean, Adam knows, hey, I need to win this match, but also, like, to me, what an opportunity, for him. So much easier said than done surrounding the outcome, right? We're all trying to work on that. I'm trying to work on that as coach as much as possible. I'm trying to have guys as prepared as possible. I'm trying to put them in every situation and scenario. And then when they come into it, it's like they're not overwhelmed by anything, right? Because they know their worth isn't really based on an outcome or result anyway. But they've also prepared and put themselves in that situation. I think the more that we can do that, then we can rely on the habits and our reps, the better off you're going to be. So I don't know. I sure don't have it figured out. I'm working on it. But what ends up changing in those moments, it's a lot of mentally. You get to the end of this time of the year too, and you get to the state tournament or you get to the national tournament. Oh man, this matters now. And actually, I had a guy who's won everything under sun. He's like, what? Like, how do you win when it matters? And I'm like, well, I think it matters all the time. And what I mean by that is, like, you're always representing yourself. You're always representing something bigger than yourself. You're always trying to build your house, so to speak, right? So you want to build it the best way possible. And then you got to go back to your training, and you got to trust your training. And then you got to go let it fly as much as you can, because the outcome, I don't know, when you hold it tight, it gets, it slips out of your hands a lot, if that makes sense. I'm trying to figure it out, and you try to figure it out a little bit for each individual, because you can see when they squeeze really tight, and you can see when they're their best, and you're trying to get them to be their best self possible. And we'll keep working on that throughout time, throughout whenever I coach, and I'm trying to get them to do that, obviously outside of wrestling and life. So I could talk about that stuff all day. I'll tell you too. So my son's a little bit this weekend. The Bosco. I actually got a Bosco because there's a lot of hate. There's a lot of hating on Bosco, but they just won their 6 in a row in duels. But you're not always going to be 100%. I mean, that's sports in general. That's life in general. But you can still show up and you can still give your best. And sometimes your best is only 50% of your capacity, but still 100% of what you have. And I saw some guys do that for our team this weekend. I saw my sons do it this weekend. One thing with wrestling is when you step on the line across from someone else, they don't care. And they don't have to care how you feel or what you brought in here, or if you've been in bed all week and you just rolled out of bed the first time and you feel like you can't even hardly stand up. It doesn't matter. You go out there and compete, and you compete for something bigger than yourselves. And like I said, you put your ego to the side because it is about something bigger. It's about team. And man, proud of my sons of doing that this weekend. Proud of their team, because it's easy to avoid those situations, but in the end, it gives you a lot more power in trusting yourself and knowing that I don't have to be 100% to be able to compete and win. And it's a pretty important lesson for life in general. And I saw our team do that this weekend too, and just going to continue to ask those guys to do those things, and then they'll get the most out of themselves, which that's what we're after. So I think, you know, and I've told you before, the Big 12s are 2 days. I mean, ideally, they want to wrestle 3 days, you know. So I think having to do that, again, gets you prepared, gets you back up again, gets you back warmed up, it gets you weighed in twice. I think the more preparation you have, the better you are. So you're trying to mimic those environments and opportunities as much as possible. So again, we'll have another one, and you'll have one at home where you have a duel, and then, you know, you got Iowa State, who's we got Iowa State on Sunday, don't we? Damn, I haven't even talked any crap on Dresser yet. I almost got through the whole time and didn't even chirp at him at all. No, again, multiple matches that are high level. I mean, that's Big 12s and Nationals. Those are ones that you want to be prepared for and want to win anyway. So I think it just makes it a normal part of the routine. You know, they do it. We got to take care of West Virginia first. And Flynn and Cliff Moore, they do a great job. I mean, they've built a very strong program. Obviously, you know, they got ranked guys, you know, 57, 25 as an All-American, and then I think Iowa State has every weight ranked. You know, they got a couple number one guys. So, you know, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but look forward to wrestling both those teams. But again, we'll get more information on our guys and what opportunities we have, though, for a seeding for Big 12s and national tournament. I mean, heck, when you're getting to wrestle top 10 guys, you can really solidify, you know, your tier wins going into that national tournament. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of something to say about Dresser. I mean, his hair's thin, and he did get his hip fixed, though, so he's walking around better. No, but look forward to that duel, and look forward to McLeod Center. You know, heck, it's Valentine's Day. No better place to spend Valentine's Day, and I think they're giving away. I don't think they can't call them Snuggies. They can't call them Comfies. You guys see the
wearable blankets.
It's a wearable blanket. It's pretty cool, though. I mean, I think how many are you getting? 500?
500, yeah.
So if you get here early, you get one of those. They're pretty cool, and that was Parker. Just to me, that's a nod to Parker, and I still wear mine all the time. All right. Anybody else got anything? Did I answer your question? I don't think I did. I didn't really answer it at all. That's coach speak. You just talk around it. But you know, when you back to back, I mean, it just, again, it mimics the Big 12s and NCAAs. So.